Welcome to the DRF College Sports Podcast, brought to you by DRF Sports. Daily Racing Form, America's most trusted name in horse racing, is now providing sports bettors with exclusive data analytics, previews, videos, and expert picks on all major sports. Bet smarter and have more fun doing it. It's the DRF College Sports Podcast, and now your hosts, Jack Fitzpatrick and Bennett Conlon. Ready, set, bet.
DRF College Sports Podcast. My name is Jack Fitzpatrick. I'm joined, as always, by Bennett Conlon. It's been a fantastic season from start to finish, from when we started the DRF College Sports Podcast to now. We finished a regular season. Regular season number 1 is in the books. And now we're headed to some post-season basketball. Conference tournament season is upon us. We're getting ready for March Madness. Selection Sunday is days away. How are you feeling, Bennett?
I feel great. It's a great time of year to be a college basketball fan. The conference tournaments are awesome. I think we're going to talk probably almost exclusively, at least I figured we would do 90 minutes to 2 hours on Chattanooga, which
you got that one right. In fairness, I feel like this does deserve a shout out early on. Granted, you got lucky with the buzzer beater bank in overtime to finally cash, which you've been pounding your chest. I'm going to keep talking.
He didn't bank it. It was nothing but net.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Pre-over, or no, maybe it wasn't over. It wasn't overtime. They give the 3, and then it went to overtime. No bank, though.
But, okay, so the bank wasn't open on a Monday.
It was like
night, but they won
a 30-foot heave.
Chattanooga. Bennett's been on Chattanooga, I think, since the jump of the season. I think that's been one of your teams that you've been.
I think they're plus 6,000 to make the Final Four.
Yeah, you got that future?
I'm considering it.
I was looking at March Madness futures to win the national title.
Sure.
They are so far down on the list, and this was after they
Chattanooga.
Won. Yeah, which I mean, it makes total sense.
I'm seeing plus 30,000 on DraftKings.
Yeah, but like the teams in front of them were kind of like teams in front of them were like Oregon State.
Oregon's in front of them. SMU,
yeah,
Florida. Like some of these teams might not even make the tournament.
Exactly. That's what made me laugh. Like Chattanooga's a lock to make the tournament, and there's teams in front of them that have to win their own respective conference tournament just to make the field, and yet Chattanooga has worse odds than them.
It's going to be a long path forward. I love them, though. They're looking like they're maybe a 12 or 13 seed.
Yeah.
I'm blindly picking them to win a game. So I think I have to at the amount we've spoken about Chattanooga on the podcast. It'd be really weird if I was like, no, I think they're done.
That and IUPUI.
Surprised they didn't make it. Gritty group that had enough players most of the time.
That right there, that's the T-shirt. The IUPUI 2021-22 season. We had enough players, most of the time, period. That I was going to bring that in and parlay that into something else as we move on through this rambling of a beginning. What was I going to say? What were you just
I don't know.
About?
Kind of derailed it with the whole Chattanooga talk, but heck of a win. No bank. Great shot.
Bank.
Love that team. But I was just going to say, I think I had almost stopped myself with what I was saying. Great time to be a college basketball fan. That was awesome. There were some really dramatic other conference tournament games. The Colonial Athletic Association has a good one going on. It'll end probably before or after we finish recording, so we won't know the result for that Delaware UNC Wilmington game. UNC Wilmington is maybe sad this year as a JMU fan, but whatever.
Bennett has, just so everyone knows, Bennett has a $100 bet riding on this. He got into some hot water with the UNCW players. They found a tweet of his from the JMU Sports News account. If you're really into JMU sports, you can give that a follow. I don't know how many of our listeners are that into JMU sports. However, he tweeted something from that account making fun of UNCW and then doubled down on it when they earned the 1 seed in the conference tournament.
2 seed.
Earning the 2 seed and a share of the CAA regular season title.
Fraud program.
And Bennett said, if they win the CAA, I will personally donate $100 to the university.
And it's been to get to this point. Hofstra, the seed, was upset. So then they played Charleston, the 6th seed. Charleston, I think they went 12 of 30 on layups and lost by 3, which included some controversial block charge. I don't know who the
Terrible.
officials were.
It was a block. He was moving. It was a block.
If you watch the whole game, though, there were about 15 blocks that were all called charges, which maybe more fun as an official to call a charge. They were calling charges left and right. It was absolutely insane. I mean, there was one where like it was probably just a shooting foul defensively, and they called it a charge. It's like the defender didn't even fall over; he just hacked a guy, and they're like, "That's a charge." So it was that was something. But that's a good one. Got the power conferences heating up here, and then obviously Selection Sunday is right around the corner. We got some great stuff coming up if you're a basketball fan.
Yeah, and you can find all the information you need in terms of sports betting, exclusive insights, data, all of that great stuff over at drf.com/sports. Myself and a brand new writer that we've brought on board for March Madness and going into the baseball season, Corey Gee, has been pumping out amazing content, previewing all these Power Six tournaments, a couple mid-major tournaments that we think might have the potential to either A, be a really good conference tournament, or B, the winner of it could potentially win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. So all of those tournament previews and then all the betting previews throughout March Madness can be found at drf.com/sports. A really exciting offer. I sound like a marketing salesperson here. I'm going to say this to Bennett. From now until, I believe, sometime next week, I forgot the exact date, which I should know considering I'm the one that set this exact date. We're opening up all college basketball games for free. So you don't have to be a DRF Sports Pro member. You can just go into our March Madness landing page and find all of the games, all of the betting insights for free. An awesome opportunity to beat your friends in the office pools, anything like that. All betting insights, the exclusive data analytics, everything like that DRF Daily Racing Form is known for on the horse racing side is now free on the sports side for a limited time only. So get on over to drf.com/sports to claim or not claim that offer, to take advantage of that offer. Do you have anything coming up in terms of March Madness and sports betting in your landscape over there, or is it kind of not as big right now, but I feel like it's big for everyone?
A lot of different news that I'll be covering, but I do have, and we should have on Sports Handle and US Bets, a decent amount of March Madness coverage. I'll have something at some point in the middle of this week. Probably, I guess this drops on Wednesday. Probably on Wednesday, it'll go live on Sports Handle where I'm looking at a few Cinderellas. So teams that have already, or potential Cinderellas, teams that have clinched a berth in the NCAA tournament that are probably a double-digit seed that could be worth taking for an upset and maybe have the potential to win a few rounds. Chattanooga will be on the list.
Okay, perfect. That was my first question. We should talk about that at the end of the podcast. I think it'll be a really interesting piece. Mm-hmm. And before we get any further, Russell Wilson was traded today. If you guys have watched the podcast, you see my Seahawk fan license plate. I've been a Seahawk fan since day one there. So I had to bust out the Let Russ Cook exclusive hoodie in memory of his Seahawks tenure. So it might be a little bit of a sad podcast here.
This guy can't find himself a division that's easy to get through, though. My God, AFC West.
Right, going from the best division in football to the best division in football. But Mahomes, Wilson twice a year, sign me up.
You got Mahomes, Wilson, Herbert, and Carr right now, right? Those are your.
And you could argue that Derek Carr is the best quarterback in that division easily.
I think the crazy thing I saw someone is like, Derek Carr has to be the best, worst quarterback like ever in a division. Like normally you look at like the worst quarterback in your division, you're like, oh, that guy stinks. Yeah, like you might be thinking of a Jared Goff, but you're thinking of Derek Carr as like a legitimate player.
Yeah, throw him in the NFC East, and he'd contend with Dak Prescott as best quarterback in the NFC East.
Right, exactly. You got Daniel Jones and Heineke, and those guys stink. But to have him as the worst is crazy.
Yeah. All right. So moving off of all of that, I think that was a really solid 10-ish minute ramble to get this podcast going. Let's dive into our best bets. Let's recap the regular season. We finished it out. Bennett went back and crunched the numbers on it all. And please share with everyone our overall record, and then who had the better win percentage and we all know who had the more wins because someone in this podcast group decides to pick 18 games a week.
Yeah. I went 77-0, which is just insane. No,
I just had parlay after parlay.
All parlay over the course of a year. So I was 40-37, so a win percentage of just about 52%. I think there were some money line dogs in there, so you're probably at a point where you're basically breaking even, maybe making a little bit of money. You were 24-20-1. You had a late push this week. Started crazy strong. Have faded a little bit, but still pretty good. So you're looking at about a 54.5 win percentage. So us combined was 64-57-1, which is a pretty darn good record there, I would say, in my opinion. So let's get the official win percentage here. You're looking at about 53%. Definitely some money line dogs in there. So I think, probably a little better than break even. Gonna have to potentially do a unit count at some point to confirm that. But I know early in the season, especially with some of those college football ones, there were some good winners in there. So we're not losing you money, and we came in not guaranteeing that we would win you money. I think we were pretty clear. We're having a good time doing this, and we'll give you our analysis. But I'm pretty pleased with those results for us.
I'm actually really happy because there was a point in the season where I thought I was like way under 500 and you were absolutely crushing me. But somehow, some way, I came out with the slightly better win percentage with that bad fading down the stretch. That was bad. That was really bad. But yeah, we came into this saying we weren't betting professionals by any means. We're not handicappers. We enjoy to watch college basketball and college football, and we enjoy betting on it. But by no means is this our full-time job. We write about betting legislation, and I cover sports betting for DRF Sports. But yeah, neither one of us have made our money, quote unquote, in the sports betting industry. We're just two hacks who, like to watch college basketball. One hack happened to cover UVA, the defending national champion, for 2 years. The other hack just watched an inordinate amount of mid-major basketball on CBS Sports Network. So put our heads together and you get some good winners.
I think we had some good logic too. So we did pretty well. We had a little college football early on. Definitely some tough losses this year, no doubt about that. But 64-57-1 is pretty darn good, and I think something we can build upon going into March Madness here.
Yeah, I'm excited to keep track of what we're.
And actually, I did not yet include, I don't think, my 2 future wins that hit.
Oh,
that's an exciting thing. So I think I get those.
Wait, what was your third that didn't hit?
Third that didn't hit. I did 2 on the podcast.
Oh.
And then in real life. So the 2 on the podcast that I had, it was Duke and Houston. Okay. In real life, I put 5. I think I went 4 for 5.
That's so
Tennessee.
good.
Tennessee screwed me, but I'll give myself those 2. So that gives us because I don't believe I added those in. That's exciting news for us.
Even better.
So that makes us 66-57-1, which you're definitely winning at that point.
Especially with some few, except for the Duke future that was minus money. But
Duke was minus, but I think Houston might have been plus 200 or something crazy.
Yeah, probably because you probably got it when Memphis was still a hot commodity and people had faith in them. So moving off and all that, we're going to talk conference tournaments. We're going to go one by one down the quote-unquote Power 6. We'll sprinkle in some mid-major talk. We both are really excited for the A10 tournament. We'll both talk about the Mountain West tournament a little bit later on. But first, we're going to start things off in the Big East. Is that okay with you? Are you okay if we take a drive up 95 and go to MSG and catch some action? All right, perfect. First round starts tonight. We have 3 fantastic games. Xavier Butler. Xavier's a head scratcher. I think they are capable of winning a couple of games. I think they're probably the best out of this first round of teams. St. John's DePaul and Seton Hall, Georgetown. Georgetown hasn't won a game since they beat Howard in non-conference play. They haven't won a Big East Conference game since winning the Big East championship last year when they upset Villanova. An absolute terrible fall off for the Hoyas and Patrick Ewing's squad. What are your expectations for the Big East? Do you have a favorite to win it, or are you just sitting back and really enjoying this one?
I think Georgetown's probably my favorite, right? They strike me as a team that they only care about this after last year. This is all that matters. No, I mean they're terrible. I kind of like UConn here. UConn strikes me as the value play. I'm crazy high on the Huskies. Like I really like that team. I think, and I'll just look at DraftKings here because it's kind of an easy one that I have pulled up. You can also
check out ia.drf.com to check out DRF's latest odds, although you cannot bet because you're not located in Iowa.
Yeah, that makes it a little tougher for us non-Iowans, but I imagine it translates pretty similarly odds-wise. Yeah. So if you got some different ones, you let me know here. But I'm seeing on the Big East, I am seeing UConn at plus 330, which would make them the second favorite. Villanova plus 150, Providence plus 500, Marquette plus 800. I just think UConn's really good. They would be for it at plus 330. I think that would be an interesting play. I think they've got a pretty good chance. Only downside is that Providence is that 1 seed. So if you're UConn, you got to go through Villanova in the semifinals, which is challenging. But as the 3 seed, it's a challenging route for them. And I think that makes it tough. But I think they're the best team in the Big East.
I mean, I'm looking at this, and I think Georgetown at plus 15,000 offers a lot of value to bettors.
Yeah, they haven't won any conference games, so you only need to win 3 now.
Yeah, exactly.
In a row.
They've saved it all for right now.
They haven't wasted their wins, which is genius.
Yeah, teams like Villanova, UConn, they've all wasted their wins at this point. Yeah, Villanova plus 150 to win, UConn plus 300, Providence plus 500, Marquette plus 700, Seton Hall plus 1,000, St. John's plus 1,200, and right there with Xavier at plus 1,200. A team to watch, though, is Creighton. Creighton's checking in at plus 1,600 to win the Big East. They are the 4 seed. They came on very well late in the season. They take on Shaka Smart's Marquette team in the first round tomorrow on Thursday in that 4-5 matchup. They did lose 2 out of their final 3, but from February 8th to February 23rd, they rattled off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight wins. Their defense is above average. Their offense struggles a little bit, but we've seen it before. Greg McDermott's squad could have the potential to win a game or 2. Do you like Creighton at all? Are you sprinkling anything on them, or have you written off the Blue Hawks, Jayhawks, Blue Jays?
Yeah, I'm not totally sold on them. They also Ryan Nembhard, point guard for them, out for the year.
Yeah,
don't love that for them. So I think that makes it a little tougher. But I do think that was a couple of weeks ago. I think they beat UConn maybe without him, but I don't see it happening. Although I will say, kind of interesting, they have beaten Marquette twice. Their opening opponent, really close games, won by 1, and then a double overtime win where they won by 6. So that could be a thriller on Thursday.
What is that stat that you tweeted out a couple of days ago about teams facing another team for the 3rd time in a season?
Yeah, it's like a fake, nonsensical media narrative that it's really hard to beat teams for the 3rd time. It's just not like most of the time teams do. And a lot of the time, if you beat a team twice, you're probably way better than them. You get them again, maybe you blow them out. But yeah, against the spread numbers are pretty close to 50-50. But in 2021, there was a win percentage of 66% for the team that had won 2 times, the 3rd meeting. Jordan Sperber had tweeted this out. So since 2010, there have been about almost 1,400 games. Actually, I think almost 1,400 games from 2010 between college basketball teams that had won against the same team twice. They played for the 3rd meeting, and they win at a clip of 71%.
That's intense. That's high.
Yeah, because especially it's the complete opposite of the narrative where it's gosh, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times. Some of it, I think, if they're playing a hard team, like beating Marquette this year with Shaka Smart when you're an equal 3 times, probably challenging. But most of the time, if you beat the team twice, you might have a matchup advantage or you're just better than them.
Yeah, I have fallen into that narrative on a few times, talking myself into it. Or even the second game, I'll be like, they already beat them once. It's going to be hard for the second time. I realized I didn't give my true pick because I don't think Creighton's winning at all.
Yeah,
I
what's
like
your
Providence
pick?
to win.
Picking the 1 seed.
Yeah. The
Going
1
out
seed,
on
but the third favorite.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. You do get, it's a betting podcast.
Come on, we don't go off of your numbers.
Sacking you. I'm taking plus 330. You got like plus 500. I'm like, oh, taking the favorite, huh?
I know Providence is like really lucky and has lucked out a lot. I just think Ed Cooley has the magic sauce. He's got that Big Mac sauce, the secret sauce working up there in Providence, Rhode Island. So I think they can win a couple games with a pretty veteran heavy squad. I really like Jared Bynum, and I think it'll be fun.
Think there's any chance it's someone other than Villanova, UConn, or Providence?
Yeah, I do. I think Marquette, I genuinely think Marquette could do it. I don't think Creighton as much. And I think Xavier probably won't, but they have the potential. Because we forget, I mean, even Seton Hall really faded. But Xavier was ranked at one point. St. John's was ranked at one point. Seton Hall was ranked at one point. Providence, Villanova, UConn, all are currently ranked. Marquette was ranked at one point. I don't know. I don't think DePaul was. But this whole conference was good at one point in the season.
Not a bad league. Not a bad league at all.
But, all right. So that's the Big East breakdown. Let's move it on over to Texas, not Texas. I don't know where the.
Is that your pick? The Big 12, just Texas.
Just Texas.
He doesn't even need to hear anything else.
My pick for Big 12. I'll just jump out right on and say it. Texas Tech.
I like Texas Tech.
All right, who's your pick?
They're my pick.
No, they're not.
Texas Tech is my pick.
Really, at plus 250? We both are on Texas Tech.
They're really only plus 250.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking.
DK's DraftKings has plus 350, so at least there's that. But Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech all seem pretty close. I think it'll be one of those three. Lean Texas Tech or Baylor. I think Texas Tech is the fun, like if you're looking for a little extra value, they're the play. But I think Baylor's I don't know. Baylor and Kansas are probably better, but Texas Tech has shown the ability to beat like top tier teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd take a flyer with them. I also think they've haven't they had a couple iffy ones lately? Yeah, they've lost to TCU and Oklahoma State in the last couple, but really close losses. So they're a team I feel like people could be like, oh, they're done. I actually think Texas Tech is one you should jump on heading into the NCAA tournament because I still think they're really good. I think they're well coached and have some good players and a lot of experience. So I'm still pretty high on them despite a couple of rocky showings.
Yeah. And I also think they get it done with fantastic defense. And I think we've talked about this now. It's going to be the fourth time we brought it up. How different would the narrative be around Texas Tech if they beat UVA?
Yeah.
So
it would probably be a lot different.
I also have no faith in Bill Self in Kansas. This is my own narrative I've created in my mind that I just don't think they get it done in March. There's nothing backing that up.
They win the Big 12 a lot, though.
What was that?
I will say he does a decent job within conference, typically.
That's a valid point, but still, that the narrative in my own head that I can't beat is there. So I'm anti-Kansas, even though they have. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I finally learned how to pronounce Oscar Tshiebwe's name. I don't know how to pronounce Ajabi.
I think it's Abaji.
See, I was wrong.
But I'm going to confirm this because we're a basketball podcast, and this guy's really good.
I was writing about him, doing a Big 12 preview, and his numbers are out of this world. I think he's averaging a double-double.
Think I could guard him one-on-one?
No, I don't. I think he would destroy you in the low post.
Ochai Agbaji. Yeah.
And we're going to Ochai Agbaji our way over to the Big 10 now.
Great
We
work.
both are on Texas Tech for Big 12. Big 10 is up in the air. There's a lot of teams here. I genuinely think 1 through 9 have a shot at winning this. Is that crazy to say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I also think 1 through 6 have a real opportunity. Like if 1 through 9 have an opportunity, 1 through 6 have a real opportunity.
Big Ten strikes me as a fraud again.
Whoa!
I have a lot of respect for this league,
Whoa!
but
Whoa!
I think
You're a
they're.
Wisconsin boy.
I know, and Wisconsin's a total fraud. Like Johnny Davis gets knocked out of the game, and all they have to do is beat Nebraska at home. Nebraska sucks, and they win the solo. They're the only Big Ten champ, and they blow like a 10-point lead in the final minutes. Johnny Davis gets hurt. Looks like he'll probably be good to go based on what he's been saying for the Big Ten tournament. But gosh, they really lean on this guy. I don't know how you go from beating Purdue and having this emotional rushing the court scene to then laying an egg against Nebraska. Kind of embarrassing. We also got to talk about senior day. Johnny Davis, I think, was honored at senior day as a sophomore. They just do it when guys are going pro now. That's not what senior day is. What is that about? And Coach K, don't get me
real quick on Coach K. We'll get there in the ACC. We'll get there in the ACC.
All right.
Hold your horses. We're in the Big Ten. Complain about Greg Gard all you want. We'll complain about Coach K.
They're like a fine team. I think they'll be like a Sweet 16 team, but they're kind of fake. I don't know. They've been good. They got a lot of good wins, but they're also one of the luckier teams in the country. Have a lot of really close wins. Well, and when they're not good, which can be kind of often because they're like one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country, one of the bottom 100, I think, maybe bottom 75. They don't shoot the three all that well, but they got the guys. They don't turn it over, play fine, but they're just like, they're fine. I think Illinois, I'm seeing Illinois at plus 380 on DraftKings. I don't know what they are over at DRF, but they second favorite over there. They're the one that makes a lot of sense to me. Purdue can't defend. I think Illinois is the best team in the Big Ten. I would take Illinois.
I do too. I think Illinois is my pick. Purdue's number one to win it all, plus 175. Iowa's the third favorite to win it all at plus 400. Mm-hmm. Illinois checks in as the second favorite to win it. I don't like the value on Purdue or Iowa. I hate it for Iowa because Iowa's the 5 seed and doesn't even get the double bye.
They've been balling out.
That double bye is huge. You're saying the third favorite has to win an extra game over everyone else? No. But Illinois is the only team in the Big Ten that's top 30 in both offense and defense. Ken Palm, statistically wise, they're the third best team behind Purdue and Iowa. But they're the only top 30 on both sides. Brad Underwood is a great coach. Kofi Coburn's the best big man in the Big Ten. And pair that with Alfonso Plummer, that guard that has just come into his own as of late and is filling the Ayo Dosunmu role that was vacated last year when Dosunmu left to go pro, and he's now balling out with the Chicago Bulls. Give me Illinois all day, every day. It's like twice on Sunday, plus 275. I'll eat that up.
They're just really good. And if you're in Iowa, use DRF. I always make this case around conference tournament, the NCAA tournament. If you're taking futures, depending on where you are, especially if you're outside Iowa where we can't use DRF Sportsbook, do a little odd shopping. Because chances are, depending on the book, you can probably get better odds for your boys wherever you're looking. So that's always one that's worth considering. A good time to odd shop if you are going to odd shop. I'm sure DRF has some edges there too that other books might not.
Yeah, if you're in Iowa and looking for opportunities to bet on your height, I was about to combine Hawkeyes and Cyclones. You're looking to bet on your Hawkeyes or your Cyclones if you're an Iowa State fan. Keep it locked to ia.drf.com, or you can download the DRF Sportsbook app in the iOS App Store, in the Google Play Store, anywhere where you download apps. The DRF Sportsbook app is there, and keep it locked for potential odds boosts, for potential things of that sort, giveaways maybe about it, because especially the Hawkeyes might have a little run in them in this March.
They're playing really good basketball. I'll give them that. Defensively, they're a little iffy, but they can fill it up.
Yeah, the Keegan Murray, stud.
I would love to see, and I would pay good money. I kind of hope they're like a 3 or a 4, and they could potentially, if South Dakota State gets by North Dakota State and actually clinches his berth, they fill it up, don't play defense. That would be a sweet like 3-14 or 4-13 game.
I love how you're already projecting these things out. Like, I can't wait.
I just want a high over, man. I want one of these to be an unreasonably high over.
All right, moving from the Big Ten, we're headed down south to the SEC. Before we even break down the SEC tournament, Wait, who are our picks? You were Illinois to win. I was Illinois to win.
Wow.
We're the same on everything but Big East so far. Big 12, we're both Texas Tech, both Illinois. UConn for Big East over there. I forgot who I was already. But now we move to the SEC, Providence. I think we'll probably have the same winner for the SEC too.
I think so.
First, we'll break it down. Ole Miss takes on Mizzou. Georgia takes on Vanderbilt. I think Georgia runs through everyone as they've parted ways with Tom Crean, and that charade's over. No, I don't think anyone outside the top 4 can win this league. I think there might be value on Alabama to win it, but I don't think anyone outside the top 4 can win it.
I'm sleeping on LSU and Alabama. I love those guys.
LSU's bad. Come on.
No, they're playing pretty well.
Look at me in the face and tell me that you trust Will Wade's team.
I think they're better than people think. I think they could be a surprise. Just beat Alabama in the last game of the regular season. They had a 1-point loss to Arkansas. None of their losses are really – their worst losses like Ole Miss or Vanderbilt, South Carolina. But other than that, they've got some respectable losses and actually some pretty good wins.
Sure. And then Alabama has losses against like Iona and Georgia.
Iona's elite.
Iona's 90th in Ken Pom.
I still think Ken Pom just trashes the mid-majors. But yeah, I think Iona's fine. But Alabama's got some crazy good wins. When they're at their best,
yeah,
they're an interesting team. They have kind of been iffy the last month or last week, really.
I did write about it on drf.com/sports in my SEC tournament preview, and I'm really not trying to plug drf.com every chance I get here, as it makes it sound like I am. But I did think they are good dark horse potential. Like if you want to take a flyer on them, they're high odds. I think they're like plus 1,200, something like that on DRF Sportsbook. Take a flyer on them. They have a tough draw, though. They have to face Kentucky, and then assuming that, Tennessee, and then they get to the championship. Like it's going to be a difficult run for Alabama. However, they can beat anyone in the nation, as we've seen them beat Gonzaga and Houston in back-to-back games. Like when playing their best, they're elite, but their defense is just lackadaisical at times. And they still have an elite offense, and they play the analytics game really well. It's threes and close twos, but it's going to be hard. With that being said, who do you have winning the SEC?
I have no interest in betting this as a future. There's just like too many.
Neither do I. I think we should say that this tournament is so volatile.
I would say Kentucky because I think they're the best team, and I think I think they might win the whole thing.
Wow, really?
Cal's guys, Coach
You're a
Cal.
Ty Washington Porsche NIL deal believer.
I like them. I'm just terrified. Like neutral floor, you can go Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky. Like all those could beat each other head to head. So it's hard to. But I would say if I'm taking anyone, I would actually take the favorite Kentucky here.
Okay, I wouldn't.
You're probably on the bus. You're definitely on the bus.
No, I'm on the Rick Barnes.
No, you are not.
Boulevard.
Really?
Yeah, your talk about them. I have faith in them. They showed some solid grit down the stretch.
They're playing great.
Yeah, and I have faith in Fulkerson and Santiago Vescavi and
Kennedy Chandler. He's their NBA guy, probably.
Yeah, he's their NBA guy. And then their other small guard that comes off the bench that I can't remember the name of.
They've got a Ziegler, I think.
Ziegler.
He's a little guy.
Ziegler.
But they got some size. They play really good defense. The offense is actually really come into its own here late.
Exactly.
It's not bad. Interesting play.
They have a chance. I think they have a chance. And they have a favorable draw. I should say, I think that's a big thing too, because Kentucky will probably be facing Alabama, which is a solid team, where Tennessee's facing Mississippi State or South Carolina.
Who do they have after that, though?
And then they would face the winner of Kentucky, Alabama.
Yeah, that's tough.
So then that gets tough. But, I think Auburn has the easiest draw. Because I am high on
have LSU on that side.
What was that?
They have LSU on that side. Is that their tough one?
Or Arkansas, LSU or Arkansas.
Arkansas is playing pretty decently. Must bust. Arkansas. A lot of these teams feel so like the SEC Their crowds have been absolutely unbelievable. Like, don't they feel invincible at home? Like when Arkansas plays at home, it's like, oh God, or Auburn's in that atmosphere, right? But when they go on the road, you're like, oh, these guys aren't even good.
It's also a crazy season for the SEC. Like Auburn had that 18-game win streak and then faltered down the stretch, but they had an 18-game win streak. Arkansas was unranked coming into conference play and was a little bit shaky to start, and then rattled off a bunch of wins and looked like arguably the best team in the SEC. But at one point, they were unranked and a little bit shaky. Tennessee's just been there. And then Kentucky has always been really good, but they've gone from like these just destruction blowout wins to narrow victories. To Kentucky kind of reminds me of Duke.
Yeah.
And with Duke being mentioned, it is time to talk about Coach K's farewell game against UNC.
We got a lot to break down here from a non-betting angle. First of all, the ego on this guy, Jack, is unbelievable.
Okay, so I was sitting there, and the Duke University Twitter's like, it's Coach K's senior night. No, it's not. It's the seniors' senior night.
They did not honor the two seniors.
I know. They honored Coach K.
The one, Joey Baker, is allegedly coming back, so they're going to do it next year. And then they don't graduate transfers. They don't give them a senior day. So Theo John just doesn't get one. That's the thing Coach K doesn't do. But it's like, bro, you just had the thing that's most frustrating is he's like, I don't want this. Don't announce you're retiring in July and then expect a gift at every road venue you go to in the ACC. Did you read the ESPN article that mentioned that he was miffed that UNC didn't give him a gift when he played at Chapel Hill? Like, they did a video tribute, and the guy felt like slighted. What a lunatic. And then he comes out after. He's like, he's telling the crowd to be quiet. He's talking to, like, how the game was unacceptable. I'm sure the players felt great. He put so much pressure on them to win that game just by being the way that he was. And then acting like it was all about the game and then giving his pregame speeches, which were not even seen on the real ESPN because Kansas and Texas went into overtime. That was hilarious. But just, God, it's insufferable if you're not a Duke fan. And I was listening to Titus and Tate this week, and they had a point that was interesting where they were like, this isn't even his last game. This is last. Like, if you're a Duke fan, he was like, oh, sure, that's interesting. I don't care that it's his last home game. Like, that's not something that needs to be broadcasted. I mean, tell me when it's his last actual game in the NCAA tournament. I don't care if he has 7 games left.
Yeah. There's a good shot. He has what? 1, 2, 3 games left in the ACC tournament. Then the round of 64, 32, 16, 8, Final 4. He could have 9 more basketball games if they win the national championship and win the ACC.
You would think
he's had to suffer through that. And then not to mention, it ruined my ESPN Daily. I don't know if you listen to Daily Sports, the podcast playlist created specifically for you on Spotify. I listen to it every morning. And ESPN Daily had like 3 separate like podcast features on Coach K. Granted, Byron Metcalf, I think that's who they had do the large feature on him, was fantastic.
Oh, the long cover story was Wright Thompson.
Wright Thompson, thank you. Wright Thompson made me fall in love with Coach K. He knows how to tell a story. Wright Thompson is fantastic. Byron Metcalf is their college basketball analyst guy.
Yeah.
He's really fantastic. He talked this morning on ESPN Daily. But made me fall in love with Coach K for a brief second. But then you sit there and then you're like, this is all about him. The seniors didn't have their night.
It's just always all about him. Like all the time. When the whole thing where it's like, he actually stayed another year because he wanted to make sure their recruiting was in order with Shire. No, the recruiting would have been fine. They're Duke. He built them into Duke. Like the recruiting would have been 100% fine. They all know who Shire is because Shire's been there forever, and K forced him into the job.
And Shire probably recruited them. And also, can you talk about the shadiness of Coach K forcing Shire into the job? Like forcing Duke. I love how we're now in this 15-minute rant on Coach K and how much we don't like him. Forced Shire into Roy Williams didn't do that.
Just be honest about, and then he was making comments where he's like, once I'm done, I won't be around the program. I won't be going to games, hovering over people. He's still having an office in the basketball building. Also, just like you made this whole farewell tour because you wanted a farewell tour. Just say that. Just say you wanted everyone to kiss at your feet for a year because you clearly did. So for them to lose was hysterical because they still did the whole post-game ceremony. I thought it was funny. They're still really good. They're in contention, I think, to win a national title. It seemed like a pretty obvious bet potentially to win the ACC because he's probably just going to scream at them for a week. But it's just insane all the hoopla. You had all the former players that were there going crazy, and then to have an average North Carolina team take them down, I thought was pretty enjoyable from a viewership perspective.
I also saw a stat that said, I believe it was the fourth largest margin of defeat to an unranked team in Coach K's entire Duke tenure.
Incredible. Shout out to North Carolina, clinching themselves a spot in the thing. That's the other thing that was annoying is like Duke, North Carolina is awesome. In the entire week, there was no discussion of like the actual basketball game. It was all entirely like Coach K is leaving. And it's like, he's not really leaving for any of us that like aren't Duke fans because we're still going to see him for 5 games. And that's going to be shoved down our face like crazy in the NCAA tournament. Every game's
This is the last game.
Is this his last game? Yeah.
They're going to be down 10 at halftime. And I guarantee the entire second half, like storyline from the announcers is, are we watching? These players don't want this to be Coach K's last game. They want to send him out with a national championship. They're going to play hard. You can guarantee the other side of that court's wanting to send Coach K home. Like, also the line. Let's weave some betting into it. The line was astronomically high for that game. I think it closed at -12 for Duke.
Yeah, I had UNC spread. It's the best bet last week, and that looked pretty darn. What, it was probably like 23, 24 points clear. Like,
yeah, just 27. Yeah.
Because I think the public like view of it, right, was probably that they're so motivated for K, and I think pretty easily it backfired of like they're super distracted. There's a lot of other things going on. Carolina needs this for the bubble. Carolina doesn't have any pressure in this game. It's a rivalry game, and then like that's a ton of pressure if the game is close late, which it kind of was for Duke players, where it's like, oh shoot, we got to win this for K. Instead of like, let's go win a game. It's like this whole thing where this 75-year-old man wants his day to be good. Like by you having to play great basketball. It's ridiculous.
I also love hey, stop talking. Stop talking. I'm trying. Hey, stop talking. That was unacceptable.
That was unacceptable. It's like, you set this up.
It also wasn't a terrible game by Duke. Like outside of like a little bit of a bad stretch where UNC completely capitalized. Like I didn't watch that game and go, man, Duke just got manhandled and that was unacceptable. I was like, wow, the moment was probably too big for a lot of those players. Paolo Banchero is not the best player in the nation, and he's kind of overhyped.
He was killing him in the first half, and they did a nice job
and then what
making him settle.
They planned him out of the game. All right.
He's no Chet Holmgren.
No Drew Timme. Let's move this conversation, take the steering wheel, and go from Durham, North Carolina, and we're going to head on over to –
Are they your pick?
No. I'm just driving us – is it to Brooklyn?
Oh, you're driving us to the ACC tournament.
Yeah, we're going to the ACC.
Are we on the team bus?
We're on the DRF Sports bus.
We're with K. We're his right-hand man.
We're the DRF Sports bus trailing the Blue Devils. We're now in Brooklyn for the ACC men's tournament. Duke the 1 seed, Notre Dame the 2, UNC the 3, Miami the 4. Those are the top 4. What are your feelings? Do you like Steve Forbes and
no,
the Demon?
Like they should make the tournament. Like they're an NCAA tournament team, I think, but their resume is not great. I would take Duke if I'm taking anyone. I took them to win the regular season at like minus odds. It wasn't all that impressive. Or maybe they were plus 100 when I looked at it. I don't know. But whatever it was not that impressive, but ended up taking Duke, and it worked out. If you're going to take a future here, they feel like the play and just put a decent amount on it and trust them that they'll get it done. I think they're going to be pissed off. I think partially because K is probably upset, and I think they'll rally. The conference just isn't that good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're taking anyone else, I would take like the bottom half of the bracket that would have a chance to meet Duke in the championship.
Yeah.
And I would look at a team like Virginia or Virginia Tech that's like desperately fighting for an NCAA berth. But I don't think either of those teams are going to win the thing. and I don't think North Carolina is actually better than Duke. There's nobody here that I like other than Duke, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if you put a gun to my head and said, put $5 down, put $10 down on a winner of the ACC tournament, I'm putting it down on Duke. However, if you want to take a flyer on a team that has some value, I think they're a 4-digit underdog to win it all. I like UVA. I know we've trashed on them all season, and for good reason. They're not that good. They're an NIT team at best. But the way they play basketball, they've shown that they can be in tight competitive games. They beat Duke at Cameron Indoor, and they played Duke really well at home at John Paul Jones. So UVA has the capability of putting together a couple of good games, and the fact that they're on the bottom of the bracket makes it a little bit easier. You're going to face the winner of Louisville, Georgia Tech. It's looking like Louisville as we record this Tuesday night. And then from there, you're going to play UNC, which UNC's not all that great. And then you're probably playing Tech or Notre Dame, which aren't all that great. And with the way their defense plays, if Reese Beekman and Kihei Clark and Gardner and all of those players can just have a somewhat acceptable offensive game and don't go 7 minutes without scoring, they can find themselves in the championship game.
Yeah, I think them or Notre Dame might be my flyers if you are taking a flyer. Notre Dame's got some sneaky impressive wins this year. They look like a tournament team. They beat Kentucky earlier in the year, quite a long while ago, but they roll with kind of a tiny rotation, but they have some good players on that team. Mike Bray's a pretty good coach, I think is underrated, so maybe you take a flyer there. But yeah, Tony Bennett in Virginia would certainly be an interesting flyer. It's just hard to see anyone other than Duke, especially after the season-ending loss. I think they're going to want to go in on a winning streak and maybe make a case for one of the better 2 seeds, or I don't think they're going to want, but maybe make a case for them just because it sounds like Coach K's going to be able to pick where he wants to play and which region. So maybe he can just say that he wants 8-4 and they'll give him that too.
He apparently Duke submitted, because apparently this was a rule that I didn't know existed, that teams can request to be in certain regions.
Yeah.
And they requested to be in the Midwest region because it's in Chicago, his hometown.
Just so strange, but whatever.
All right. Moving to the Pac-12. Pac-12, I think, is going to be a quick one. I think Arizona wins it. They're the best team in the Pac-12.
Give me the Bruins.
Really? You were UCLA stan over here.
Got Arizona future in real life to win the regular season. I think I would take – does DRF have them at minus odds?
Let me check for you. Does DraftKings?
DraftKings has Arizona at minus 120. UCLA plus 160.
The Pac-12. Can I get a drum roll, please? Arizona's minus 125. The Bruins at plus 175. Oregon at plus 800. Then USC at plus 1,000.
Wow. Very different than the old DK, which has Oregon 4th at plus 1,500.
Wow.
Interesting there, but better value on UCLA at old DRF. You're in Iowa, got plus 175 there. I still think UCLA is good, and they're due for like a little – I think they're going to make some more noise before the season ends. Arizona probably the safe play, but I kind of like UCLA. They're 1-1 against Arizona. I think they can hang in that game. If I'm not mistaken, they had some guys like just come back in that game against Arizona, so they were like out with COVID or something. I think they had just come back in the loss, something like that in early February. But I think when they're playing their best, they can be pretty good. So I would maybe take a flyer on UCLA. Bruins have some noise left in them this year.
I like that. I also will say I wouldn't bet on a minus odds team. I would never put a future down at minus odds.
Except for the Duke Blue Devils.
You're only happy because that cashed. It almost didn't. There was a moment where that looked like it was.
I would do it in the ACC tournament. Just put $500 down on Duke.
Don't listen to Bennett. All right, some quick mid-majors. Atlantic 10. Who do you think is going to win?
Gosh, I keep liking VCU, but it just feels like, are they actually going to do it? I'm going to be so mad if VCU's not in the tournament, though. They're good enough to be a tournament team, so I'm hoping they get close. I'd love it if they somehow snuck 2 in, where like VCU made the finals and played somebody like a Dayton. Are they on the right side? Where's Dayton and Davidson?
Dayton is at the bottom. Davidson is the 1 seed at the top. Davidson's matched up with St. Bonaventure at the top, and St. Louis is also up top. Dayton is matched with VCU and Richmond at the bottom.
I would like to see VCU make it, but we'll see what happens there. They're certainly on the bubble. The St. Louis loss that I correctly predicted and you did not last week is it hurts them.
Do you
But I
think?
still love them.
Do you think the A10 can put in 2 teams?
Probably not, but maybe it depends if like you get the right two and they play like a competitive championship, maybe because the bubble is pretty weak. Like I've seen some people, like I think Joe Lenardi keeps floating Virginia, and it's like one of the teams that's still in the bubble. It's like they've done nothing. But I don't know. I hope they make it. They're playing really well of late. They've been really good when they have Ace Baldwin healthy, and some of those like they're getting maybe losses look bad that aren't like the one they lost to Chattanooga at home earlier in the year. How much better does that look now?
Yeah, you lost to the
Right?
SoCon champions. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're really good. They're like a 13 seed that's going to win the national championship.
All right.
So not doing that, but they're like a good team. They have a win over Syracuse. They beat Vanderbilt. They have a win over Dayton. I think they split with Dayton, split with Davidson, maybe. Or only maybe they only played. Yeah, they only one loss in Davidson, no win over Davidson. That's tough for them.
Yeah.
Nope, they split.
Okay. Quick hit. I think we both like VCU. I don't know who I'm necessarily picking to win that. I don't think Davidson wins it. I think the winner's going to come out of the bottom of the bracket.
I think this is maybe the most exciting conference tournament, though. It's like 4 or 5 teams that are all really close together that probably all need the automatic berth.
Yeah.
So I think that part is exciting from a viewership. But yeah, I don't know. We've both been high on VCU for a while now. I think you more than me at the beginning.
I just love the Havoc defense. Havoc lives here, baby. Carey Street, give me in Richmond. Place is bumping. Moving on from A10, quick Mountain West, because I feel like we have to stick to our roots and talk Mountain West. Boise State at the top of the bracket with Wyoming and UNLV. Colorado State on the bottom of the bracket with San Diego State. Utah State plays Air Force as a play-in to get the opportunity to play with Colorado State. Fresno and San Jose State square off in game 1 for the opportunity to play San Diego State. I really like Colorado State to win this. What about you?
You're obsessed with them.
I love them.
Don't know on this one. I'll yield to you. I will say last week we both said that we thought San Diego State was in. They've won a couple here in a row that I think probably puts them in. I keep seeing them on the bubble, like big time.
I don't get the bubble is really upsetting me because it's really valuing, and this happens every year, and it's the discussion we have every year. It's valuing too much these power conferences. There's no reason that a bad Michigan maybe played their way back on the right side of the bubble. But if you look at me and you say San Diego State or Michigan, who would you rather see in March Madness? Rather see a San Diego State team. North Texas, if they don't win the CUSA, they're probably not getting in. They're like 22-8 with top metrics.
Doesn't help San Diego State they lost to Michigan by 14. I will say that.
That's very true. Okay,
the head-to-head does not help. But I think like they're one that, again, like their body of work aside from that head-to-head, it feels better. They got a win over St. Mary's on a neutral floor that's carrying a lot of weight. They have like a 30-point win over Colorado State.
Yeah.
That's like they're very good. But the fact that they've beaten Wyoming and Fresno State here in the last week or so, I think does carry a lot of weight. They've been really good since February started. They've lost twice, and both those losses are by a point on the road to Colorado State and Boise State. So it would be stupid if they were not in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams. I think Boise State can make a lot of noise in March Madness. When we talked with Nick Lawrenson last week, Mid-Major Madness, he really is high on Boise State. They run like 5 guys off the bench. They have unprecedented depth, and Leon Rice is doing a really good job up there in Boise. Wyoming has turned its program around. They were one of the worst teams in the nation just a few years ago. Now with Hunter Molinado, they have two kids to the Mountain West All-Conference team. They're really good. And Colorado State, you can't discount David Roddy, what that team's doing with Nico Medved. They're a darn good basketball team. And then Utah State can put up some points. Utah State is still not a bad team. Utah State's not making the tournament unless they win the Mountain West, and they're
You'll die on
the Mountain West. Very unlikely. They have a gauntlet of a schedule. But, I mean, I would love to see Boise, Colorado, and San Diego. I would love to see the Mountain West be a 3-bid league. I just don't think they're going to do it.
I think they'll get 3.
Okay. You do think San Diego State will – or you're
I think they'll –
do you think
I think it'll be Boise, Colorado State, and San Diego State, with a slight chance the Pokes, Wyoming, maybe sneaks their way in too. I've seen them also kind of right in that mix. So I think they'll get 3 with a possibility of 4.
How many does the WCC get in?
There'll be 3, I think.
St. Mary's, maybe Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga squeezes in, maybe gets in the playing game. Can you imagine how funny that'd be? They just give them like 11 seed and see what happens. You switch some 11 seed into one spot. But Gonzaga's in, St. Mary's is in. I think San Francisco is going to get in. I think BYU's out though.
My guys, Todd Golden, baby.
They had a really impressive late cover against the Zags yesterday on Monday.
They did.
They're getting smoked, and they went on a run to get within, what was it, like 14 or something, probably 15 of the spread.
The line also in that game, I don't know if you were monitoring it throughout the day like I was for some reason. When the first time I looked at like 8 a.m. Monday morning, Gonzaga was minus 11. The last time I checked, Gonzaga had creeped all the way up to like minus 13 and a half. And like every time I refreshed it every few hours, it would just jump up half a point. And I'm like, are people really this hot? Like San Francisco nearly covered the 14-point spread just last week. Now we're on a neutral site.
Motivated Gonzaga. They were killing them, but hey, what a weird world. Also, I'm falling in love with Chet Holmgren.
He's fun.
He's got like weird power on his dunks I wouldn't expect from the Slender Man. Like he slams them in there, man. They're not what you would expect from, what is he, 7'4" or 7 feet, I guess, $195. He looks
is a Zach Edey.
Zach Edey's 7'4". Holmgren's only 7 feet. He looks longer, I think, because of his weight. He looks like he's like 9 feet tall, like 111 pounds. But I guess he's just 7 feet. Zach Edey's. I need Holmgren against like an Edey or Kofi Coburn or even Aiden Hutchinson. I need a guy to body him so we could see what's it like.
Chet Holmgren has a lot of deceptive power is I think the best way.
He does. I still think one-on-one, me and him in the post, I'm getting my buckets.
Okay.
But
I'm taking Chet Holmgren minus 1,500, but I'll cheer you on.
The length is what makes him fascinating, though, because even if he does get bullied a little bit and gets like knocked out of position, his arms are so long. Like if someone knocks him out of the way, he could still get over and potentially block it. That's what's so fascinating.
He's also like when he's taking a 3-point jumper, his point of release is like 12 feet in the air.
He's basically firing it down. Yeah.
Like it's like when we're playing beer pong and like you're sitting over the table and you're shooting it straight in rather than like an arc. That's Holmgren shooting threes. He's just like boom right in instead of an arc. Okay. Any other bubble teams you want to watch? Are you watching for that are on the bubble? Maybe they're on the left side of the bubble and they need a couple of wins. Anything of that sort?
Not all that interested in the bubble. The bubble to me is frustrating because it feels like the bubble teams suck. I will say one account, I think it might have been Fox, someone else tweeted out like a graphic with old teams in it for the bubble, which was cracking me up today. They're like, which bubble team do you think will advance farther? And one of them is Louisville. And people were like, they're 12 and 18. They're not a bubble team. I think UCF was on there. People were like, what are you doing? So shout out to them. No, but the bubble's so weak that like, I don't even care. Like normally there's like bubble teams that they have I'm like, oh, I really hope they get in. Like they deserve it. I hope VCU gets in, but they struggled early in the year. Their offense is so abysmal that like if they don't get in, they don't get in. But hopefully they get in. Like to see the A10 get at least. Well, obviously they're getting one. I'd love to see the A10 sneak 2 in.
I think the A10, a 2-bit A10 is what this country deserves right now.
That's a great point.
Well, best bets. Give me your best bets for the conference tournament futures.
Yeah, not a lot here, I don't think. But I will say, I was tempted by your Colorado State play, but we're not going to do it. We're going to take VCU.
Okay, all right.
They're going to be a best bet. I think they get it done. VCU, I will say Illinois.
Okay.
I will say UConn.
Okay.
And Duke.
I like it.
Hammer
Duke.
Duke.
Duke's a cop-out, but I like it.
Hammer Duke. The other one we didn't mention that I won't say, it's not a best bet for me. But Memphis at plus 300 on DraftKings. You got Houston minus money. Like Memphis beats Houston. They're better than Houston.
You really think that Memphis is better than Houston?
It swept them, but double-digit wins both times.
Well, it's really hard to beat a team that third time, though.
Memphis is stupid talented, so I would be tempted there at plus 300. I wouldn't say it's the best bet, but like Memphis, they're one of those teams. They're going to sneak in. They're going to be in the Final Four, and Penny Hardaway is going to go, I've been putting in the work.
I think best bet, Chattanooga, Murray State, and Georgia State will all win.
Great bets. Those are we'll have to wait and see on those. But
Conference
USA. Do you think Chattanooga is going to hit a buzzer beater and not cover but win against Furman?
I think I'm going to do a Conference USA. We didn't talk about them at all. I think North Texas wins the Conference USA at plus 1.
No UAB love.
No UAB love. I think a sleeper in the Conference USA is La Tech, Louisiana Tech, behind Kenneth Lofton Jr. and Kobe Williams. But North Texas is just overall such a good team, and they've really come on late. Not late, but since conference play started, absolutely obliterating the competition in CUSA. Illinois in the Big Ten, another best bet. Really like Kofi Coburn, what he's doing with the emergence of Alfonso Plummer. I don't love Purdue. I don't love Iowa because their defense isn't good enough to win games in March. Purdue has blown so many big leads and lost games late because their lack of defense. And then I'm going to go – so that's 2. I don't want to hit ACC because Duke's too obvious. I don't want to go Big East because I'm not fully convinced on Providence. Big 12, I really like Texas Tech, but I'm not sold on them. SEC, I love Tennessee. I'm going to go Tennessee in the SEC. I know when we were breaking it down, I said I'd stay away from the SEC. But now I'm talking it through, and I think that's such a.
You got to take it. You got to take it. You trust Rick Barnes. You told me, non-sarcastically, that you trust Rick Barnes.
I love how you're laughing through it. You can't even get through. Just because I feel like I need a third best bet, I'll go Colorado State over Tennessee.
All right, yeah. Trust your boys. Trust your boys.
Trust my boys. Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
right.
Here's a question for you before we wrap up. I did not run this by you, but I think this would be a fun thing to do every podcast we have until we reach the Final Four. We both have to give our Final Four. So, it can change.
This.
But the bracket will come and the bracket will start working through and we'll update our Final Fours.
Okay, I love this. All right.
Okay.
What's yours?
Let's hear it. No. Okay, right. Here we go. Ready?
Me first? I feel like you're ready.
Kentucky.
So. What was it?
Kentucky.
Okay.
We are going to do Illinois.
Okay.
We will have Duke.
All right.
And Arizona. So Arizona, Illinois, Kentucky, Duke.
This is tough. All right. I have Duke, Gonzaga.
Okay.
Illinois. This fourth one's hard.
Murray State.
This is really good dead air, isn't it? As I'm trying to think. I'm going to go Kentucky.
Colorado State. So do we have almost the same Final Four?
Yeah, I just have Gonzaga and you don't.
What did I have instead?
I don't remember.
Arizona?
Yes.
Kentucky, Duke,
Actually,
Illinois.
let me switch that up.
Okay.
Last minute switch. Baylor out. Kentucky out. Baylor in.
Kentucky out. Baylor in. I like that. All right. Those are our Final Fours. Subject to change 5 to 10 times.
Subject to change next Wednesday when the podcast drops. Anything else you got to add? Where can the people find you? Drop all that good stuff.
Yep. You can find me at my work will be at Sports Handle, and at Bennett Conlin is my Twitter handle. You can find tweeting out a bunch of stuff there. Enjoying conference tournament action. I'll have some tweets about that, and also my articles will be tweeted there. And I think we might have a pod. I think you were telling me we would have a pod before next Wednesday.
Great catch. Mind is just an endless circle of whatever it is. Yes. So next Sunday night, after Selection Sunday, after the bracket comes out, the DRF Sports Podcast guys, Matt and Sheldon, will be having a live stream breaking it down as Matt will share his handicapping, what his formulas say, and breaking it down from that perspective. And then Monday, we'll jump on a live stream recording the podcast. Come on in. It'll be on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of that good stuff. Join us as we record the podcast there. We'll be breaking down the bracket ourselves, going region by region, game by game, picking each one, and picking our bracket live on the podcast. Maybe some other stuff, maybe some best bet. Of course, some best bets in there because that's always the vibe for the DRF College Sports Podcast. And then, of course, it can be found wherever you find your podcasts. Then Monday, after we finish wrapping it up, and it'll live on YouTube automatically as an archived video. So get ready for that. That'll be next Monday. The DRF College Sports Podcast drops, breaking down the bracket that comes out Sunday night.
Can't wait.
Perfect. See you guys next Monday then in a live stream. Make sure to follow us at DRF_sports so you never miss a moment of the action. But I imagine you probably already follow DRF if you're listening to this podcast. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the DRF College Sports Podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show. For more sports betting advice, go to drf.com/sports, and you can follow DRF Sports on Twitter at DRF_sports.